I was born in a small village in Iran called Neiris, which is in the southern part of Iran. It was an agricultural village. I would say it has not changed at all for the last couple of thousand years. In our village, there was no transportation means, there was no electricity, there was no running water, there was no roads. It was just a very backward village. But something very unusual happened at the middle of 19th century. A man by the name Wahid came to our village. Wahid, as some of you may know, that was a great religious leader in Iran at the time. And instructed by the Bab, he began to travel all over the country and spreading his teaching. His coming to the village was quite interesting because the governor of the town did not want him to come and send him a message that you are not welcome. But then the whole bunch of other people, they went outside the town and welcomed him, including in this group of people who went to welcome him was some of my ancestors. So the acceptance of my great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, and some other mullahs of town led to half the people of Neiris, few thousand of them, they all became Babi. And so major conflict started in Neiris between the government, Muslim, and the Babi community that led to the massacres of thousands of Babis, including lots of my family members. And they were kidnapping him and they harassing the family. So in one occasion, probably I think I was 6, 7 years old, that we got on the top of a truck. I remember that day, it was he and myself. We had the small luggage. We jumped on the top of the truck and we left the village. Oh, I have so much memory. In my teenage days, I loved to go to movies. And my favorite movies, of course, were American movies. I would see some American movie, I see actresses, I see actors, I see the great life of that people live in America. So I decided I want to go to America. Why should I stay in Iran, be persecuted as a Baha'i, suppressed by all kind of government oppressions. So I managed to convince my father and mother that to let me go. I went to American Embassy to get some help. What should I study when I come to America? At that time, the Einstein and nuclear engineering and all that was a very popular subject. So in my broken English, maybe I knew 4 books, words in English, I told folks, this old lady who was helping me, oh, me go America, Einstein, von Braun, nuclear engineering, bomb, atomic bomb. So I just want to convince her and tell her that I want to study engineering in America. And of course, I'm sure she didn't take me seriously. She gave me a directory, put her finger in a couple of universities. One was Columbia and one was Harvard. He said, these 2 universities, they have your major, nuclear engineering. So I sent a request, application. A few months later, Columbia rejected me. But so funny, Harvard accepted me. It was a highlight of our life, my family in Iran. My father was bragging that his son is going to America and he's going to Harvard University and he's going to study nuclear engineering. Can you imagine? A farmer boy come from a village, come to London, got on a ship called Queen Mary. It was a huge ocean liner, and I came to America. It took 6 days traveling. Got to New York, stayed in YMCA, and I tell everybody I have to go to Washington to register for university. But they keep telling me, if you're going to Harvard, you have to go to Boston. I said, no, Washington. How silly. I was accepted to Howard University, not Harvard. Right after I arrived in America, I had to go to a small college in Vermont called St. Michael's College. It's in Burlington. This was my first experience in America and American life, and it was quite interesting. Life was still very confusing for me in those days. So suddenly this woman came along, wonderful lady. She was cute, she was a doctor, she was a Baha'i, and on top of all that, what they say, she had the green card. If you have a green card, you have made the American dream. So she had the green card. So she agreed to marry me. That's great, why not? So I married her, and then, of course, she was such an active and involved Baha'i, and I became more involved. My study was becoming, first couple of years was pretty good, but then after that it started to fall apart. My biggest fear was the immigration office, because I was constantly on the verge of being deported, because I was not supposed to work as a foreign student. I was supposed to go to a school full-time. So, but at the same time, I had to work, I'm working this Italian restaurant in a wedding. It was a wedding night, this Italian wedding. I'm in the kitchen washing dishes, and if you know Italian parties, they eat pasta and soup and main dish and salad and dessert and cheesecake. So these dishes were coming left and right, and was washing. At some point, I decided to take a short break. I came out of the kitchen. There was a wedding. I'm standing right by the door between the kitchen and the main hall, and was watching. Those days, rock and roll was very popular, and all kind of fancy dance was going on. Somebody went and complained to the manager, "Who is this ugly boy with that fancy, probably I was so dirty washing all the dishes, standing on the corner." They couldn't stand it, see somebody there. So the manager came. I remember he was a big Italian guy, hold me by my shoulder and shoved me through the kitchen door. They had these revolving doors. I went through the door. I fall down and my head hit the refrigerator, big refrigerator. Started bleeding and all that. They have to call the ambulance. The ambulance came, they take me to the hospital. They put some stitches in my head and all that. Better days were coming. I didn't have patience for praying. That was always been my problem right there. My father prayed a lot. And I remember sometimes late at night, 9, 10 o'clock at night, I see him sitting on a corner and praying. I go to sleep, I wake up 12, 1 o'clock for some reason, go to the bathroom or something. I see he's still sitting there and praying. So I often ask him, "Why are you praying so much?" And he always would say, "For you." It's so funny that I couldn't believe that the focus of his praying constantly was me. How about the other brother and sister? How about the rest of the family? And I really think all those praying that he did was really a protection for me. Plus, of course, the sacrifices and martyrdom of my ancestors in the earlier days. Whenever I was under pressure or when I was suffering, when I was in pain, I remember the suffering and the pain of my birth, of my ancestors, of my fellow Baha'is. And that gave me some strength. The faith give you the whole new perspective in life. And I think even at the time that I was under tremendous pressure because of financial situation or emotional problem and loneliness that I was experiencing, often when at the moment of really despair, when I think about the life of the Babis at the earlier stages and the suffering of the others, I said, compared with that, really my suffering is not that much. What the faith has done, it took care of some basic problem that society is facing. In this our society, there are lots of racial prejudice. But when a Baha'i kid from the early stages is told that humanity is one, this racial issue should be resolved, black and white, Persian and others are the same, he or she grew up with this state of mind. Or when you believe in equality, when you go to a gathering from a childhood, you take for granted that man and woman are equal. And so you're overcoming all these challenges that average person is facing in society. This gives you really a great deal of freedom. God bless America. I always say, really, with all its shortcomings, it still is a wonderful place to be.